For me, I was always the guy that when I fell, I fell hard. Like I wasn't able to just take steps. So I mean, I was until I wasn't able to. At some point in my life, especially when I started to struggle with drugs, I, dude, every tough part of my life, it just was a huge drop off, right? So now what I'm seeing the last 3 years is, so I'll just walk you through real simple of what small steps can do for someone in my case. So 3 years ago, I'm going, I'm downstairs in my house, no one's around, and I'm trying to figure out a rehab that will take me in the next couple of days. I can't handle the pain of waiting any longer because I can't go a single day without filling my system with a heavy amount of drugs that would kill most people, right? So I'm like trying to figure out rehab, find a place, start taking small steps. Then I get 30 days sober, 60 days sober. Then I come home. I start building more time. Okay. And I'm doing like little things like wake up at 6 a.m., go to AA, work out, do this, and that, and hang out with these people and just, okay, keep plugging along. Then after a few more months, I started working front desk at a yoga studio. So making minimum wage, folding towels for people, just taking steps, just show up. It's a job that's got a time clock on it. I'm just showing up and taking steps. Then I start coaching tennis again. So I start coaching tennis, just taking small steps. Fast forward a couple years now, getting married soon, building my financial advisory practice, been able to work with some incredible people as clients, build incredible relationships. And you're like, I have a long way to go. But from someone 2 years ago or 3 years ago was trying to figure out a rehab that could take me the next day to a guy 6 months later that just making minimum wage, to someone that's doing pretty well now and getting married and starting that next chapter, it's like, whoa, like it's kind of cool to see over a 3 year period what little steps can do in a pretty short amount of time, right? So like today, still being a human, I'll struggle with little stuff, like little things going on at work or little challenges with our wedding planning. It's like, whoa, like I'm lost in today. But then, okay, zoom out again, big picture. Geez, dude, you were 3 years ago, you didn't want to be alive. And today you're stressed out about you guys having the right flowers at your wedding. Like how crazy does our brain work, right? Like 3 years ago, did not want to be alive. I didn't know how people walked into a grocery store sober because I was so paranoid and like just dealing with like this beast in my head. Fast forward, I'm stressed out about like making sure I can plan our honeymoon the right way and like if we're gonna stay at the best resort in Maui. It's like, dude, like how priorities change and like having to remind myself though that like these are quality problems. Like that's a quality problem to have. Like that's a good thing that you're worried about that.
Yeah.
So like take a step back for a second, take a deep breath and realize that, dude, to go from worrying about waking up tomorrow to stressed out about what flowers you're going to have at your wedding and where you're going to go for your honeymoon, dude, that's a crazy change. But that's going back to the whole point of like little steps. And so I got to continue taking those steps because I would love, doesn't make it easy, but I would love to see 3 years from now, if I did continue to take those steps, where I'll be. Right. And it would not, and you wouldn't appreciate, and I wouldn't appreciate any of it if it wasn't so freaking hard. If it came to me easy, like if sobriety came to me easy and it came to other people easy, why would we celebrate and birthdays? And like why would people put on this big celebration for you and like give you coins and like tell you how they're proud of you if it was that freaking easy, right? Like so it makes sense when you look back at it, but in that moment and that day, it doesn't take away how heavy and hard it can be sometimes. But going to like your puzzle example earlier, where we get stuck on one piece, but when we look at the full puzzle, it's like, whoa, like this has been a ride and there's much more appreciation. That's where I live. And where I have to remind myself to live is like, dude, shouldn't be alive 3 years ago. Today you're worried about like where your honeymoon's going to be. If we had that same transition, like that much of a change 3 years from now, I'm curious like what those quality problems could look like. Right. So like I want to keep putting in the work today to, because I'm kind of curious what are those quality problems going to look like 3 years from now. But it all comes down to, am I willing to do the footwork today? And I don't know for tomorrow, but today I'm willing to, right? And I hope tomorrow I wake up with enough grace and enough courage and strength to do it again. So, we'll see tomorrow, but I'm just sharing that because, for anyone out there, like, I get it. Like, dude, I should have been dead 3 years ago. I'm like trying to figure out where to go to rehab. I burnt down all my relationships. I didn't know how people lived even a day sober. I never, I'd gone years on weekends where like going out was the only thing I knew. Like I didn't know people on a Friday night could just like stay home and watch Netflix or like, do stuff that was productive. I thought like you had to be out at the bars and you like, how to get drunk and like, chase girls, whatever. Like I just thought that's like what you had, just what you did. And I couldn't look at life any other way. But go into those little steps, you know, looking big picture now, 3 years, the quality problems are a good thing to have.